We are live. We are live. Welcome, everybody, to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this College Football Rebel Outpost channel with a donation to help us keep the lights on so we can do this every single day. Hit the $, make a comment, and I will get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome, everybody. Everybody, welcome into the studio that sits on the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. It's Friday, June 14th. There is a lot of There is a lot of instability in college football. There is a lot unknown. The more we learn, the less we know. That is where we are. I know we're supposed to provide you the peek around the corner, but I got a feeling that nobody knows. That nobody knows what the hell is going on. We received information from the Arizona State Money Perch. A lot of you weren't around when the Arizona State Money Perch gave us precise, well, some of it was precise information. Some of it was just emotional reaction of what was going on during the Pac-12 non-media negotiations when the Arizona State Money Perch kept telling us the Pac-12 hasn't received any offers. Basically nothing. While other people were reporting that the Pac-12 had offers of this much money from this media company, Arizona State Money Perch was giving us the no. We've received nothing. And it ended up being the truth. And then when they finally did receive something, we reported to you that according to the Arizona State Money Perch, it was $23 million per school, and none of it was linear, and all that was accurate. The Arizona State Money Perch, along with our Florida State Money Perch, along with our B. Tim and Associates, he's in a certain place, and he's given us information today, and we're going to shoot it to you straight here at Peek Around the Corner. According to the Arizona State Money Perch. And his track record speaks for itself. If you have been part of the PATC community for any length of time during the Big 12, Pac-12 situation, I gotta say, and I did not advertise this, but I also have to say, and I'm not going to be able to go into it today. We'll get into it next week. But I also have to say, we might have to, here at Peek Around the Corner, do the unthinkable. And that is go to the on any given Saturday sportsbook. I might have to walk in there. The fat guy from Minnesota might have to walk up on a ladder. Or maybe I'll get somebody else to do it. And I might have to rip those current odds down once again when it comes to the ACC saga. So there is a lot of stuff. And if I was you at Peek Around the Corner, if you know this show, and obviously you do because you've come in this morning, I would pay attention to next week. We're not just teasing this. There's nothing imminent, nothing that we know of. It's nothing like that. But I think, in fact, I think maybe everybody's hitting the pause button a little bit. Because there is so much instability right now. I know they did the settlement. They're looking for Congress. It sounds like there's some positivity from Senator Booker once again. Senator Cruz, we're going to go through that story. But there is so much instability that maybe we need, maybe, just like the Moscow Stock Exchange was shut down today. We might have to shut down on any given Saturday sportsbook, the odds on what is going to happen to the ACC. There is so much confusion. I am under the belief that the Big Ten and the SEC, they want to get this season started, just like the Big 12 and everybody else. But essentially, those two conferences, they want to get this started. They want to see how it goes. They want to see how the playoff goes. They want to see how the playoff model works. They want to see who buys the Big Ten Network, subscriptions, the SEC. They just want to figure out this NIL, this $22 million salary cap. They need to figure out what they need to figure out to order to figure it all out to be able to look toward the future. It sounds like we might be hitting a pause here. Just the Big Ten and the SEC, I think they want to slow things down just a little bit. Now, the Big 12. Yormark is trying to speed up change. He's trying to get this private equity deal. The Arizona State Money Perch has some interesting thoughts, takes. He's had some discussions. Remember, anything that happens with this equity, anything that happens with some type of equity deal, at some point it affects the boosters, the people who are sitting on the money purchase. I'm telling you, it does, in ways that I did not realize. Right away, there is a split in the Big 12. Not everybody is for this. I would be shocked. From what we have heard today, I would be shocked. I would take the big L. We really haven't taken one. We've taken L's on the littlest of details, but I will take the big L today. If we get news today that this is going to happen today or tomorrow or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know if this was part of the leak to try to get everybody on board. I am not sure. But I don't think everybody is on board. Now, Arizona State, according to the Arizona State Money Perch, and we'll get into it, he thinks that Arizona State will be on board because of some details that they were given. And we're going to give you those details today. The deal, again, I'm never going to understand it. I think it's impossible for anybody on the outside to completely understand it. I definitely am not going to be able to understand it. But it's way more complicated than what somebody can put into an article, obviously. So we don't know what we don't know. And we don't know a lot. But we do know that the Big 12 is not all on board, not all off board. There's a different perceptions on what this deal would mean to the universities. Not everybody is perceiving it in the same way. So we're going to get into that. We've got a lot to get into. It's Friday, June 14th. I think next week is going to be a very busy week. All we can do is go forward here at Peek Around the Corner. Lee Go Gators is in the house. Crab Cakes and Football is here. Randy Taylor is here. Caleb Ramirez, early Peak member. Jeff Morgan, Mr. Mountaineer is in the house. Heartbreak 25. I am not afraid. I am not afraid to change my name for $1 billion. I don't know. I think we all should be a little afraid. I think we all should be a little afraid. Ted Evans is in the house. Richard L., Mr. Colorado Buffalo. Matt Neeson is here. Mr. Cyclone. Midwest Heat Wave coming soon. Mr. Bearcat. Vox Quindardo is in the house. Gene Calderon, Larry Andrick, Sean is here. John Till is here. Expedition Greg is here. Lee Austin Jr. Tyler Brown, damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is a risky option. Yep. Good way of putting it. Clay Try is in the house. Cactus Sombrero in the house. Don in Kansas is here. Juan Carlos, James, John Famlor is in the house. Tracy FSU is here. Tracy FSU. I don't know if you heard enough of the show yesterday. We covered it early. But Tracy FSU, you did figure it out correctly in what happened or where it happened. O'Brien Restaurant in Chicago, East 45 East. So we'll get in more into that a little bit today. I did talk about a little bit yesterday. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Juan Carlos is in the house. Humbo Bumbo Duck is here. Kenneth Maynard. If schools like Kansas and Utah have aspirations for the Big Ten or the SEC, they might not want to be beholden to private equity. Movie Time Blues. Sounds like a mad scramble to get to the other side of chaos. Curtis Brown is in the house. Cougar Tail is here. Private equity in the new improved Gore. Juan Carlos. Jay Chapman. Immaculate is here. Rock and Rant is in the house. It should be called private capital, not private equity, because that's what it is. We're being told it's neither from the Arizona State Money Perch. So it is, but it isn't. We'll get into it. Jared Jones is in the house. RFR Mac is here. Justin Lucas. Your mark overreaching? Again, it depends on your perception. It depends on if you like to have options. Put it out in front of you. It depends on everything. There is so much There's so much going on. There is so much going on. I have to get back to something here. First of all, Ricky, thanks for coming on in. Amy S., thank you for coming on in. Zach Mock, thank you. Cameron B., Rock Chalk, Jayhawk. Greg, is that liquid cheese dripping off your hot dog onto your shirt in the opening title scene? No, that is mustard. That is mustard. Please don't anybody get it all screwed up. That is absolutely mustard. Vox Quindardo, thank you for the incredible generosity. Holy smokes. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. Especially when I'm coming at you, Vox. I'm coming at you in a state of confusion. Because nobody wants to come to college football's Peek Around the Corner and have the host be confused. You want clarity. I've been able to give you peeks around the corner. We've been able to give you clarity. Today, not so much. And I'm under the strong belief. In fact, it's the only strong belief that I have, that going into next week, there's going to be more confusion, more chaos. And I might fail in giving you all the peek around the corner, except for the fact that the peek around the corner is showing confusion and chaos. So Vox, I'm not giving you what you want or need today, but you just given what this channel needed. Thank you so much, Vox. Thank you for your incredible, absolutely incredible generosity. Thank you so very much. We've got Jimmy, holy smokes, giving out the gift membership. Man, oh man, unbelievable. Again, Jimmy Austin with this incredible generosity. Thank you so very much. Jimmy, you are hereby knighted cloak and dagger. Thank you. Marcus Williams with a gift membership. Holy smokes, he did it again. Thank you, Marcus Williams, for your continued generosity. Marcus Williams, you are hereby knighted cloak and dagger. Thank you so very much. We will get to the confusion. We will get to the confusion. Everybody just hang on. Juan Carlos, you were gifted a membership by the generosity of Mr. Marcus Williams. Anthony Carlson, Sparty, you were gifted a membership by Mr. Oregon Duck, Jimmy Austin. Please say thank you to Jimmy and Marcus when you get the opportunity. Thank you so very much. Ted Evans, 5 gifted memberships. Holy smokes. Thank you, Mr. Evans, Mr. Husky. You are knighted cloak and dagger once again. And thank you for your generosity once again. You've done that over and over and over again, and we appreciate it. Skaven, yes, yes. Amy S., John Famlor, Cougar Tail, and Gamer were all gifted a membership. Please, first of all, you are all officially knighted cloak and dagger. Go say thank you to Ted Evans when you get the opportunity. For all the new members, please go to our YouTube channel and check out the membership only episodes. I think we're going to be dropping some this weekend. I think so. I know so. Let's put it that way. We're going to be dropping new Cloak and Dagger membership only episodes this weekend. Maybe even one late tonight, if we get the go ahead. So make sure you check those episodes out. RFR, thank you so much for your generosity. Mr. Utah Utes, thank you so very much. Monday, Monday, we're coming down. We're going to be releasing our breakdown, our order of finish prediction for the Big 12 or the Allstate Conference on Monday. That is happening on Monday. This last Monday, we did the breakdown of all the schools in the ACC, 17-1. The Big 12, we're going to be breaking it down from 16-1. And where am I going to have Utah? Where am I going to have Utah? You're just going to have to find out. You're just going to have to find out. We really break it down. We talk about players on the offensive line, on the defensive line. Everybody, but not everybody. This show can't go on for 3 hours, but we do a pretty extensive breakdown of the Big 12. No, you look, I had a surprise team in the top 5 in the ACC. I had a couple of them. Well, I had SMU number 5. Everybody in the chat room basically disagreed with me. Not everybody, but most. And then I had North Carolina State. I've got them winning it in the ACC. Everybody disagrees with me, except for maybe Justin Lucas. And he probably does as well, because Justin Lucas is a smart guy and I'm not all that bright. But what I'm saying is, the Big 12, am I going to have a surprise in the top 5? Yep. Yes, I am. Could I have a surprise team winning the Big 12? Probably not. Probably not. But I'm going to have a surprise team in the top 5. So buckle up. Brace for impact. I am loaded. I have fallen in love with the Big 12 school, with the Big 12 team this year. That, just like the North Carolina State thing, when I fall in love, it's over. It's over. It is over. Now, but I'm not going to have this Big 12 team win the Big 12 championship, but I'm going to have them finishing a lot higher than any of you, because you all think with your mind, I think with my scarred heart. So buckle up. So thank you, everybody, for those generous donations. Holy smokes. I keep saying your name incorrect. I apologize. I did hear Monavision say your name correctly, but I forgot how he said it. So Xmas Talks, I apologize. Thanks for coming on in. Helmer Henderson, what is the future of the Miami Quagmire? I think that's the story. That is definitely a story that we're going to be talking about next week. And thank you for the super chat, Mr. Henderson. First of all, we're all over the place at the beginning of the show. We're going to focus. We're going to go from one story to the next, but right now it's scattershot. We're all over the place. Miami is now interesting. Miami is now interesting. So they're not on the stage in the Holy Smokes Theater. Only Clemson and Florida State is. Miami is in their own little quagmire. There is an article that was put out there by the Miami Herald, some guy who basically is a Florida State alumnus, lives in Tallahassee, talking about how maybe Miami should drop their sports and everything. Some people are giving it attention. peek around the corner, besides letting you know we're not going to give it any attention. That's the only attention we're going to give it. It's a bunch of every at least major city, sports reporters who cover sports, and some of them do college sports once in a while. You've got at least one reporter in every city that is claiming that the university should drop sports. I mean, basically, that's what that guy is for Miami. And he doesn't even live in Miami. He's whatever. But the nature of the Miami quagmire, the question goes to the heart of naming the new president. Now, it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a while. But maybe it won't take a while. Maybe it's going to be the interim president. But whatever it is, we here at Peek Around the Corner. Now, I'm not going to be able to provide you much clarity in this show. Only confusion. But I will provide you clarity on this. We are going to follow this story very, very, very closely. Just like we followed what's been going on at North Carolina. You have to. You've got to know the lay of the land. You've got to know the lay of the land to provide the best peek around the corner. So we're going to follow that story very closely. Number two. Well, not number two. But there has been so many changes among the Big Ten presidents. You got new schools coming in. Those schools have changed their presidents. There's going to be new president. They're not only going to be the presidents that made the decision for Washington to go to the Big Ten, for UCLA to go to the Big Ten. And the USC president, she's going to be leaving probably in the next year. Probably less than a year. She'll be announcing that. It's crazy out there. And it's crazy. And relationships matter. Relationships matter when it comes to realignment. So whatever Miami does, we're going to be following it. And it is important. It is. I know a lot of you believe Miami's only option is to stay in the ACC. Miami's only option is to go to the Big 12. Miami's was in a quagmire. And I think they're about to get out of it. And that's going to possibly change a whole lot. So, again, buckle up, brace for impact. Let's get on with the show. There is so much going on. Thank you, Jimmy, Marcus, Vox, Quindaro, for that incredible generosity. Ted Evans, unbelievable. RFR, Helmer Henderson to begin the show. Thank you all for coming on in. Let's get to it. We've got a lot to cover. First of all, we're just going to spend a little bit of time here. The Senators are hopeful of passing broad college sports legislation addressing the NCAA issues this year. Now, we've already gone through like the House bill, right? Trying to make it so student athletes cannot become employees of the universities. It got into a partisan back and forth. Republicans on one side, Democrats on the other. That is not good news if you want it to pass, because you're going to eventually need both parties. You're going to need Biden to have to sign off on it. You're going to need a Democrat at the end of the game. Republicans are not going to be able to push it through. So if you want something like that to pass, you cannot afford it for it to be completely partisan. And that seemed like where the House bill is going. But the senators, there does seem to be at least a little bit of bipartisanship. Washington in recent years, much on the focus of the prospect of federal legislation related to college sports, has been centered on the Senate. On Thursday, the Republican-controlled House committee made the first substantial move, approving a single-purpose bill that would prevent college athletes from being employees of schools, conferences, or a national governing association. However, the Democrats controlling the Senate, Cory Booker, Richard Blumenthal, haven't engaged in months of negotiations with Senator Ted Cruz, Republicans, over a more comprehensive legislation addressing the issues in college athletics. There is no question that they will remain pivotal figures in whether a bill actually gets through Congress this year. Now, I've been saying there's no chance for it to get through. But as we go through this article, they're a little bit optimistic that maybe something can pass this year or early next year. In separate interviews, USA Today Sports, before the Thursday House meeting, Booker and Blumenthal, who have teamed with Senator Jerry Moran, Republican, talked about their continuing interest in getting a bill passed this year. Our goal is to do it as quickly as possible, Blumenthal said. And we're in a very active talks with Cruz. Booker said this deal could be accomplished even amid impending the elections. We're getting closer and closer to the silly season with the elections coming up, Booker said. But I'm hoping actually there are some windows, either right before the election or especially afterwards, where we can get something done. Blumenthal said that the NCAA's and the current Power 5 conferences' recent approval of a proposed settlement of 3 athlete compensation antitrust lawsuits only sharpens the need for action. And then it talks about the settlement, right? Among them are athletes' employment status, which is also the subject of a federal court case in 2 NLRB cases, and it would not fully cover the NCAA's ongoing legal exposure. The settlement would not cover the NCAA's ongoing legal exposure. The settlement, makes legislation all more urgent, Blumenthal said. So it's a real priority. We need to provide more fairness. And Senator Booker and I have proposed essentially an athlete bill of rights that provides all the guarantees that the employment status would do without the necessity of making athletes employees. In the immediate aftermath of a proposed settlement deal, Cruz issued a statement in which he said it presents a significant change for college athletic systems still facing tremendous legal uncertainty absent congressional action. Overall, I believe this agreement demonstrates the urgent need for Congress to act and give the more than 500,000 student athletes across the country a path to continue using athletics to get an education and develop life skills for their future. Booker and Blumenthal on Thursday also continued to advocate for a bill that addresses more than one issue. Booker, what I think we really need to be doing in Congress, reflected of the bipartisan bill we have on this side, is looking at college sports holistically and doing everything we can to bring, sort of justice and rationality to sport that right now is in a bit of a crisis because of so many different issues are popping up. And finally, in the article, as a former college athlete, I'm still concerned about the health, safety issues, and still concerned about people being able to get their degrees, still concerned about the men and women years after their sport, having made millions of dollars for the school, are still going to have to go in their pocket for their own health and safety. So to not deal with those issues that are still plaguing college athletes is unacceptable to me. So just wanted to bring that article up at the beginning of the show. Again, still some optimism from at least some senators. Senator from Kansas and Texas on the Republican side, from the Connecticut, New Jersey on the Democratic side. Maybe there can be a bipartisan bill that can pass either late this year or early next year after the elections, where the student athletes can have all these protections without necessarily becoming employees of their universities. Now, let's get to another story before we hit the Arizona State money perch. Analyzing the value of the Allstate 12 conference if the Big 12 makes a giant leap with the name and rights deal. If the branding is on every Big 12 football field and basketball court, the number of impressions is astronomical. Commissioner Brett Yormark, again, John Wilner, the Mercury News. Commissioner Brett Yormark emerged from the Big 12 spring business meetings on the final day of May and once again declared his conference open for business. He wasn't referring to expansion. Instead, Yormark explained in general terms that the Big 12's membership was committed to exploring every opportunity to create value. 2 weeks later, bold strokes are beginning to appear on the canvas. Brett Yormark doing a little bit of Picasso. The conference is considering the sale of its name and rights to a title sponsor, with Yahoo reporting that Allstate, the mammoth insurance company, is a potential partner. In other words, the Big 12 might become the Allstate 12. The move, unprecedented in major American sports, could generate hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue over the length of the agreement. Exactly how much changing the Big 12's name would be worth annually to the 16 universities depends to a certain extent on the details. But Navigate, a sports and entertainment analytics company specializing in sponsorship valuations, its client list includes the SEC and the NFL, estimated that switching to the Allstate 12 conference or something similar could generate approximately $3 million per year for each school. The fair market value of naming rights for an entire league is a unique situation. Never seen it. We haven't seen it, right? Navigate President Jeff Nelson told the hotline on Thursday, the amount of exposure is so big, and relatively speaking, the benchmarks are so few. It's an immature marketplace. We don't know really how valuable it would be for Allstate. We don't know, really. It's an immature marketplace. You would really need to spend a great deal of time to track down, measure, and analyze all of the impressions, including the video game. You're going to have Allstate all over the video game. Over and over and over, people are going to be watching Allstate on the football field. The signage in the Big 12 stadiums. It could be on the patches, the uniforms. The Allstate conference, when you do your realignment in EA Sports 2026. Allstate, 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 Allstate. And analyze all of the impressions and value to a partner to feel confident in the right fee to charge or to pay. The valuation analyst could start with the European soccer. In early 2000, Barclays purchased the naming rights to the English Premier League in a deal eventually worth $60 million annually, according to reports. The deal has long since expired, but a similar naming rights agreement today could approach $100 million per year. Of course, the Premier League is one of the world's sports great brands. How would the Big 12 compare? Navigate's internal discussions on Thursday resulted in a range of informal estimates from $30 million up to $60 million. The midpoint, $45 million, equates to about $3 million per school per year. It's a big number and a big range because of the immature market, Nelson said, and it depends on the other inventory included. Are there courtside rotational signs or other assets in the venues? Is the media advertising baked into the football inventory? Is the partner integrated into the championships in other ways? What about hospitality? It's also not like a normal stadium rights or jersey patch. One consideration, he added, is market demand. When you get into the stratosphere, there are only so many brands that can afford it, Nelson said. If one brand says yes at $50 million, great. But if they say no, the next option could be $40 million. How might Allstate or any potential partner determine the fair value for a marketing partnership that is effectively everywhere at all times? If the branding is on every Big 12 football field and basketball court, and if any time the league is talked about, you have the partner's name. If Allstate 12 is everywhere, then the number of impressions is astronomical, Nelson said. But there's the potential for the law of diminishing returns to impact exposure. Fans would see the Allstate logo for dozens of minutes per game every week, but the 200th minute that the fans see that logo is not worth as much as the first minute. How do you account for the ambiguous nature of the partnership? We've taken a lot of time to study this with the naming rights and jersey patches, but different brands may look at it in different ways. Are there any downsides to a multi-year naming rights agreement with no precedent in American sports? The risk to the Big 12's reputation is likely limited. Now, this is, for me, the PATC money shot of the article. The risk to the Big 12's reputation is likely limited. The conference is just 30 years old. Yormark calls it a mature startup. And the biggest football brands, Texas and Oklahoma, are joining the SEC this summer. They would be giving up some brand equity by changing to Allstate 12 conference, but the risk is fairly low, Nelson said. We have found that with stadium naming rights and jersey patches, there has been an initial blowback about the sanctity being tarnished, but then the outrage, it subsides. The Big 12 also doesn't have the same history as the Big 10 or SEC. It hasn't built up brand equity for nearly as long, so its risk isn't the same as it would be in those conferences. I would absolutely agree. If the details and valuation fall into place, a naming rights agreement seemingly makes sense as Big 12 schools pursue every last dollar to remain competitive with the Big 10 and SEC. Their predicament lurched toward dire last month with the settlement of a multi-billion-dollar antitrust lawsuit. And we've all read about that. I just named the end here. In that respect, a naming rights deal worth $3 million to each school is a godsend. And I would agree with that. I don't think you should just push away $3 million a year and say that is chump change. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And if you do this private equity deal, let's talk about the private equity deal. Let's talk about the Arizona State money purge. First of all, Xmas Talks gifted a membership. Thank you so very much for your incredible generosity, sir. You are hereby knighted cloak and dagger. Thank you so much. And who was gifted the membership? Eddie Williams. Eddie Williams, you are hereby granted cloak and dagger. You are knighted cloak and dagger, Eddie. That means you can go to the YouTube channel, check out our Cloak and Dagger early peak members only episodes. Give it a check, Eddie, when you get a chance. And Eddie, when you have a chance, please say thank you to Xmas Talks for his generosity once again. Let me get to a couple super chats, and then we're going to talk about the Arizona State money perch. Helmer Henderson. Could lack of divisions, together with uneven scheduling lead to a problematic Big Ten champion and or polls not matching Big Ten rankings? Well, the answer is yes, but I think that is true also for the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12. We are going to probably, most likely, at least one of the four power conferences get into tiebreaker mania. We're going to be doing a lot of discussions on tiebreakers, right? Week 9, we're going to be talking about tiebreakers. Week 10, scenarios involving tiebreakers. Because the tiebreaker is probably going to decide who gets first place or second place. Or third, fourth, fifth, sixth, which is all important when it comes to bowl tie-ins. And it's going to be uneven scheduling. But then again, when you had divisions, it wasn't competitively balanced for most of the conferences. So you have issues either way. I don't believe we're going to go back to divisions anytime soon. But you know what? That gets into a pride discussion that we had at the start of the show. I think the Big Ten and the SEC really want to get this season, get it going, get it finished, and then make a lot of decisions based upon what they just seen. We are hearing some chatter that the pause button is pressed on a lot of things. I think they want to get through this season. They want to see what the ratings are. They're going into different. Their scheduling is different. Their media packages are different. Sponsorships a little bit different. The conferences, of course, are different. Yeah. We might be having some problems this year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of drama. I think there's going to be a lot of heartache, which I know hurts, but if there's more heartache, then there was more interest. But what I mean by that is, and this is going to sound cruel, okay, this is going to sound like I'm a jerk. But there's going to be a lot more heartbreak this year. And some more celebrations. I mean, Iowa. Let's take Immaculates, Hawkeyes, Iowa. Their goal has been to win the Big Ten West. Their goal was to possibly win the Big Ten championship, but basically win the Big Ten West, go to a New Year's Six Bowl. Okay. But now Iowa's goal is to get to the playoffs. If they're the 11th ranked team going into the last week and they lose their game in that Black Friday game against Nebraska, their heart is going to be crushed more than it has been in decades. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Their goal is to definitely get to the playoffs without question. Without question. They demand it this year. If they don't get to it, it's way more heartbreak than it was last year, and the year before, and the last year with Brian Kelly. Tennessee was like, well, we're going to be back to a power in the SEC at some point. We're going to be one of the top 10. Now Tennessee is, no, we got to be in the playoffs. Those boosters, the people, the volunteers that sit on the money perch, they're demanding playoffs. It's got to happen. The whole Big 12, you can sense it's more dramatic, more pressure than ever. They want to punch above their weight. They want to get some play. They want more than one playoff team. They want to advance in the playoffs. They want a bigger, better cut of the playoff revenue in the 2028 looking. It starts this year, 2024. I mean, you got West Virginia fans. They think they're going to finish in the top 2, top 3. They think Neil Brown should have this team to go to the playoffs. At least a good 20, 25% of the fans. Utah, they expect to be in the playoffs. There's a good 25 fan bases out there that absolutely expect their team to go to the playoffs. And there's only going to be 12. There's more heartbreak setting up this year than any year that we've watched college football. Hearts are going to be shattered. And I'm here for it, to be honest with you. Now, on the other side of the coin, there's going to be a lot of celebration. Teams are going to be going to the playoffs for the very first time. They're going to be all jacked up. They're going to be going to that playoff game. Either they're going to have that home ticket to watch their beloved team have a home playoff game where the whole country is watching, or they're going to be going on an airplane, on a bus, in their car to watch their team travel to somebody else's, and it's going to be a hornet's nest wherever they go, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Is there going to be a whole lot of problems this year? God, yes. Absolutely. Is there going to be a lot of heartaches? You got it. Is there going to be a lot of jumping up and down? If you are 6-1, 7 games into the season, and you were supposed to win in week 8 and you lose, in the years before, it'd be like, shoot. We could have went 7-1. Now we're 6-2. Well, we can still get to a big bowl game. This year, if you're 6-1 and you lose a game that you should win in week 8 and you go to 6-2, you might have blown your spot. You might have blown your advantage to get to the playoffs. There's going to be heartbreak everywhere. And I'm here to watch it all. Thank you, Helmer Henderson. I know I went on a little bit of an emotional rant, but I'm all pumped up for this season. Thank you for your generosity. Marcus Williams, even with legislation, what's to stop scrapping eligibility rules? Why can't an athlete pay football through his MBA, etc.? Well, I don't know. Well, that should be in the legislation, right? At some point, it has to be in there. Thank you for the super chat, Marcus William, but I do understand what you're saying. Ryan Martin, everyone is talking about the possibility of defections as the reason the PE deal won't go through, but there's not that much room left. You're absolutely correct, Ryan Martin. Thank you for your super chat, for your generosity. Carry Gold Nose to pay Big 12 light bills. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Seminole. Carrie Goldnose, thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your generosity, helping us keep the lights on. LFG mini fan, not super disappointed if Iowa football doesn't attain goals. Hawkeyes football set for 24 and 25. Okay. Let's get to the Arizona State money perch. This is what he told us. This is the perception of Arizona State. Now remember, Brett Yormark went down to the Arizona Board of Regents and had basically a presentation to Arizona in Arizona State in regards to how the Big 12 is looking at every possibility to grab every dollar, and then it was up to Arizona and Arizona State to invest into the football programs, into their athletic departments, so on and so forth. According to the money perch, what is being sold to them, Arizona State, is that this is more of a not private capital, not private equity, but more of an investment firm arm of the Big 12. Now, CVC might be a private capital, might be a private equity. They can call themselves whatever they want, and you can call them whatever you want. I'm just relaying to you what the Arizona State money perch, what Arizona State is being told what this is. The Big 12 schools in the deal would give a certain percentage of the conference, a stake in the conference, to this CVC. And that percentage will equal some dollar amount. Let's just say it's $1 billion. We're just pretending here. 20%, $1 billion. According to the Arizona State money perch, pretty early on in this process, Arizona State and the rest of the Big 12 schools, if this deal goes through, would get some money, would get a pretty decent chunk of money. I don't know what that would be, but he described it as right away they'd get a decent sized money. But then the rest of that money would be invested like an investment firm. In other words, they would have the expectations of what they would receive next year. But it wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed. It could be more than what they projected. It could be less than what they projected. The relationships that this CVC has would create more value in the deal for Arizona State. Kansas, Utah, UCF, according to what they're being told. So, and that the Big 12 would have the option at any time, if the money's gone, if the returns are great or if they're not great, whatever, the Big 12 would have an option to buy back part of that stake or all of that stake. What one of the major pushbacks for the Big 12 schools isn't so much the money, or it is, I mean, you could talk about the numbers. You can talk about what type of deal this is. But what the pushback is where is the control? How much control does the CVC would have with the conference and over the decision making of each school? Obviously, the athletic departments in the schools do not want their decision making done from CVC. That is one of the pushbacks. One of the things that need to be clarified. One of the things, the major one that is worrying some of the Big 12 schools. There is not a consensus for this yet. It is split. Now, I know a lot of people want me to name the schools that who are for and who are against. I am not ready to do that yet. I can't yet. One of the conditions of me talking about this. Because, and I can't even really go into why that is. And we don't know all the, we only have like a few schools that we know who are not bought in yet. We believe that Arizona State would be one of the schools that would say yes. But obviously this is going to be everybody in or pretty much everybody out. So this has got a ways to go. I would be absolutely shocked after hearing what we've heard from the Arizona State Money Perch that we're going to get a final answer on this anytime soon. The naming of the conference, that's going to get done, and it's going to get done soon. They're trying to provide an environment for a bidding war. Things are leaked, right? Allstate is leaked. See if there's a last minute bidding war. That's going to get done. But the private equity, private capital, investment firm, whatever you want to call it, there is a lot of pushback on it. A lot. So, I don't know. It's... Again, I know a lot of people want me to name the schools. I don't think there's... Like Sean said, Utah and Kansas are probably no's. I don't know if no is the correct word. But there is definitely a not yes among multiple schools. I don't think the deal's good enough for them. Or they're not seeing it as a good enough value given back to them for 15 to 20% stake of the conference. You've got to get a whole lot back. And then they're going to want to buy back that part of that stake. And supposedly the deal does allow for that. In other words, if the returns come in real hot, everybody's making money, some investment, some client, some sort of where the value of the investment firm, private equity, we'll just call it private equity, CVC, the return that they give to the Big 12 for whatever reason, something hits, a lot more money comes in, and the Big 12 wants to use some of that money to buy back part of that stake. Supposedly that is allowed in the deal. CVC is going to get their money. They're going to make sure they get their money back. So we are a long ways away. Now, during this live show, if there's a report saying that it's a done deal, I would take the biggest L here in Peek Around the Corner history. But according to what we are hearing, it's not going to happen tonight, guys. It's not going to happen this weekend. It's not going to happen Monday. Now that it's so why did it come out now? Why did the information come out now? I can only give you an educated speculation. And the educated speculation is this. Brett Yormark at this point had nothing to lose. Some reporters were sitting on it. They knew that the discussions were talked about a couple weeks ago. They've known. Now they released it because they quite don't have everybody coalescing around this private equity deal. So get it out there. Maybe we'll see what happens. But it's definitely not a done deal. And when people say, well, I got to be careful here. I do believe if I had to put my money on it, if I had to put the PATC chips to the middle of the table, I would bet that there is going to be a private equity, private capital deal done in the Big 12. It might be this one, but it ain't on the 5-yard line. It's not, definitely not at the goal line. It might be a different deal. They might have to change it. There is a pushback on it. There is definitely a pushback on this deal. Now, before we got some incredible generosity super chats, or Anthony Carlson does his 20 gifted memberships once again. Holy smokes. Unbelievable. Anthony Carlson, thank you so much once again. I know this has not been your first rodeo. You've done this before. You've helped us so much here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. Thank you. Thank you so very much. 20 gifted memberships. And this is a great time to get a membership at the Holy Smokes Theater, Early Peak Cloak and Dagger. There's so much going on, and I know we're going to be laying down an episode probably tonight, but by tomorrow morning. Anthony Carlson, you are hereby knighted Cloak and Dagger once again. Thank you so much. Before we get to our phone calls, there's one more thing I've got to say. And it has to do with on any given Saturday sportsbook. Because I touched upon it at the beginning of our monologue. But we're going to talk about it more next week. And I'm being a little bit I'm being unfair today. I'm being a little bit confusing today. We'll get into it. None, Xmas Talks, Amazing Blue, Joe Zielinski, Preston from Greensboro, the Borough Dog, DP, Roy McManama, Chief Fan, O.T. Hicks Sr., John Grove, Ray is in the house, Richard Jones, Michael Sheridan, Eagle Eye, Clemson alumnus, Benjamin Griffin, Joe Peck, Alani Ted, Larry M. You are all gifted a membership by Mr. Spartans, Anthony Carlson. You are all hereby knighted cloak and dagger. Please go check out our early peak members only episodes, and please say thank you to Mr. Anthony Carlson when you get the opportunity. And they're thanking. Thank you, Anthony Carlson. Thank you to everybody. First of all, I need to go into one more, I don't know what you call it, but I got to get into something before we get to your phone calls. I want to say thank you once again to Jimmy, Marcus Williams, Vox Quindardo, holy smokes, Ted Evans, holy smokes, RFR Mac, Mr. Helmer Henderson, Marcus Williams, Ryan Martin, Kerry Gold Nose, Ryan Willie. I'm sorry, I didn't even see this. Ryan Martin, I do apologize. This sounds like the deal they have with La Liga. It's a long-term partnership, not a loan or equity purchase like a lot of us thought. I'm not smart enough to... What the Arizona State money purchase is saying is that it's really more of an investment, and they're investing in CVC to invest. And they can buy back some of that investment. And some of them think they're going to hit it big. Some of them completely believe in Brett Yormark. Some of them believe that this is going to be great. And some of them do not want to lose any control over their athletic departments on their own internal investments, what they do with the return money and everything else that goes with it. They don't want people on their boards. They don't want CVC people at their village. Thank you, Ryan Martin, so much for your generosity. The Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. Major recruiting win for the Badgers with Posa's commitment. The linebacker, hoping Wisconsin gets Hilton and Watts. That was a big victory for Wisconsin. I know what you're talking about. Congratulations to the Badgers. That's about as much as you're going to get out of me for congratulating the Evil Badgers. Thank you, Evil Badger. Ryan Willie for the super chat. Thank you so very much. I know it's been a long monologue. And it's going to get a little longer. I do apologize. We are going to get to your comments here. Your phone calls. I'm just checking out some stuff. Gopher thanking a Badger. What has the world come to?
Oh my God!
I commented early on, we at Peek Around the Corner are going to be having some meetings in the Holy Smokes Theater this weekend. And we might be making the change to the on any given Saturday sportsbook odds when it comes to the ACC. there is we always talked about how this was going to be a long adventure, a long road with a whole lot more variables to it than anything that happened with the Big 12 and the Pac-12, anything that happened when the Big 10 and the USC got together. Anything way more complicated than, Oklahoma and Texas calling the SEC together. This is, the variables are actually multiplying. Now, the latest odds we have at any given Saturday sportsbook was Florida State and Clemson to the Big Ten, because the Big Ten was going to make sure they get what they need, even if they can't get what they want. And North Carolina, and something connected to North Carolina. At this time, we've got Virginia for the SEC. We're going to have to make a decision. I'm not ready to make a decision yet. But we might have to make a decision. The unthinkable. We might have to make a second change. And we might have to tear the whole thing down. I'm just giving you all warning. So when we do the next live show or whatever, there is so much going on that there's so many changing faces. There's so many different presidents. And the economics of everything. Florida State and Clemson are in the courts. What that settlement number is and when it happens, when they get to it, is going to be quite impactful. We talked about how the Big Ten is going to rush in to see if they can get at least what they need. Not what they necessarily would want as their top targets. We're going to have to make sure that's still true. We don't know if that is still true. I believe that the Big Ten and the SEC, we have reasons to believe that they are going to want to truly evaluate what happens this year, and with ESPN, with ABC, with their ratings, how this NIL works going into 2025. So we don't know. Obviously, there's a lot going on. No, we're not saying UNC to the Big Ten. We're not saying that. We're not. What we have said in the past, and what we're gonna, North Carolina and Notre Dame are the Big Ten's top targets. But as we've said, we don't believe the Big Ten's going to be able to get what they want. UNC is the SEC's top target. And I've been challenged on Twitter, on X, and everywhere else about that, but that's the way it is. Now we don't know for sure. We have reasons to believe that maybe the Big Ten might not rush in. Nothing to do with the universities that could become available. It has to do with they just want to see how this goes this year. I do not believe that Florida State is going to withdraw from the conference before August 15th. I have said that over and over again, and I'm in the complete minority on that. Pretty much every other college football YouTube channel is saying that Florida State is going to file a notice of withdrawal before August 15th. Now, if it does happen without a settlement or a victory, they're not going to get without a settlement or a victory. A lot of people believe that Florida State, a lot of smart people believe Florida State's going to file a notice of withdrawal before August 15th. I don't think it's going to happen. If it does happen, the first thing I do is I will take a big L. But the more important thing I'm going to do, we're going to have to reevaluate everything here. I do believe that Florida State, we know that, well, you can take this however you want it. Florida State is willing to make a deal today at a higher number than any of us speculated before. Florida State's willing to make a deal. We've reported that to you all. But actually withdrawing from the conference before you make the deal, or before you reach this settlement, or before you get a victory in the courts, we don't think it's going to happen. We've been told this over and over and over again. So if Florida State does file a notice of withdrawal before or on August 15th, then there's something that we've missed here at Peek Around the Corner. Having said that, I think the Big Ten and the SEC would probably want things to go into this next year and just see how things go for themselves, selfishly for those two conferences and their media partners, their sponsorships, everything that goes with it, for them to reevaluate. So, anyway, I just want to make that clear. We'll get into more of that next week. Now, I'm going to open up the phone lines. Ryan Willie, the Eva Badger. Some universities feel like it's making a deal with the devil. I think a lot of people agree with you, Ryan Willie. I do believe that private equity, private capital is coming into the college sports world. Ryan Willie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so very much for your generosity. We're opening up the phone lines. You guys are tired of hearing of me. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. The line is open. Talk about anything college football. Tell me what I should be doing for Monday's Big 12's release. Our prediction, PATC, prediction of order of finish for the Big 12. We're going to be doing it Monday during our live show. Let me know. Greg the Heater. Let Greg the Heater know what I should be doing. Morris Simmons, ACC is dragging this out. Vox Quindardo, realignment like damn near everything in life is highly fluid by nature.
Call from
UCF, Eric.
Eric is on the line. I'm sorry, I didn't get that first name.
UCF.
UCF. Now, UCF, Eric, that might be the team that I got in the top 5 on Monday. I love your running back. So check out Monday's show. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, I look forward to listening to Monday's show. For sure, RJ Harvey is an incredible athlete, but there's a lot to look forward to, but we'll see. There's still some question marks. We've got a new QB. But anyway, that was there's a lot of interesting things going on right now with the Big 12 and all this revenue share. I mean the private equity and everything, but I think it's just a lot of people are getting caught up in the mathematics of it all and how much does their team get, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're looking long term or if it's a short term fix. I'm seeing a mix of everybody. I just personally like the idea of Yormark trying to go out there and pitch different options.
Yes, sir.
Because we're obviously there's a gap and we have to catch up somehow. If there's a way and everybody can agree on it, I don't see a certain few schools really wanting to get into something long term where they got to like tie their school down to a conference for that long. Just because right now the whole landscape is flimsy. You know what I mean? So I think that's where you're seeing a lot of the pushback. It's just got announced yesterday. A lot of people are going to react very different ways. But the private equity thing, you see it in a lot of professional sports. You see it around. It could be something that kind of comes around and eventually warms up some people to the idea. So we'll see. But you gotta respect and like a commissioner that's just doing everything they can to try to keep the conference afloat and up there. There's such a gap right now, and then teams want to leave the ACC and want to get out and go to greener. Everybody wants to go to greener pastures. That's college football since the very beginning. As a UCF fan, everything was a greener pasture. That wasn't where we were. Does that make sense? We came from Division III in 1979 and are now in the Big 12. And, we keep hearing everybody wanting greener pastures. And it's like, well, everything was a greener pasture for us at some point in some year all the time.
Yeah.
So we're kind of used to it at this point as fans. But anyway, and also I just wondered, this is something I just kind of thought in my head about FSU. All right, let's just, let's just say, the buyout, if they come to a settlement to buy out of this thing at $300 million, all right? That $300 million could, with this new revenue sharing settlement. Now, I know the FSU fans are not going to like this, but if the revenue sharing is that had to have thrown some sort of wrench into a lot of these brass at FSU and Clemson when they saw that, because that just kind of changes the game a little bit. So when you're talking about paying out this much and then also having to pay this $20 to $22 million a year for the athletes, that's going to be something you have to account for as well. So what if FSU and Clemson looked at things with this $300 million and decided to put that towards this revenue sharing for the next 6 years, say? So even $300 million doesn't even cover that could cover like up to 10 years or maybe even more of this revenue share, if my math's correct, maybe 12 years, if it's at 22 million. So that would pay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're correct. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, why, if that revenue share amount, if you hit that, you're right there. Their whole concern was not being able to keep up with these schools in the SEC and Big Ten.
Yeah.
But this kind of changes the game a little bit. So if you're going to need that amount to stay on equal playing ground, because now we got to pay the players, and if you can cap it, well, why would you spend all that money just to get out when you can actually stay on the equal revenue, equal ground for at least 6 years? All right, you don't have to go all the way till the end of the contract, but it's a lesser buyout, let's say in 2030. And you would be able to dominate, let's say maybe the ACC or whatever for those remaining years. And with that unequal revenue sharing in the ACC now, if you make those playoffs, you're making $70-80 million on top of that anyway. Then you save that money that you spent the buyout. And then by 2030, when the Big Ten may be looking to expand it with their new TV contract and saying FSU, Clemson, whoever is going to, up the ante a little bit for you guys, then you can reassess that then and say, well, okay, now the buyout isn't so bad because they only have like 5 years left, 6 years left or whatever. So that's just my thoughts. I mean, I don't think they'll do that. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. Great call. Great comment. Great angle to it. One thing I would hesitate on is this $20 million, $22 million is not really a cap. That's the problem. In other words, there's going to be, there is a so-called cap when it comes to direct payments from the school to the student athletes, $22 million. Okay? And if what you're saying is if Florida State can hit that, then they're okay because, you know, the problem is that there are going to be your top elite football schools are not going to stop at 22 million. They're going to do the 22 million internally, but then their outside collectives are going to be spending more than that 22 million. In my mind, there's no question about it. So what happens is you have the same problem going forward than you have now, in which Florida State, to get to that 22 million, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to get to it than a Michigan, then a Ohio State, then an Ole Miss, then a Tennessee, you know. So they're going to rely more on their boosters, their donors to get to that 22 million because they don't have that media revenue coming in. And it's still going to be that advantage for Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, the top schools in the Big Ten and the SEC. That's how I'm looking. I do not believe in any way that the Ohio State Buckeyes. By the way, the Nebraska athletic director just said this. He says, we're spending $10 million on NIL, which is a lot compared to a lot of schools. But Ohio State's already doing $23 million. So these schools are going to be doing $22 million in regards to this settlement and everything, direct payments from the school to the students. But I think their top athletes, the top ones that can demand more money, are going to have outside deals, not going to be signing over the name, image, and likeness to the schools, and they're going to be doing these outside work for these collectives for Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama. I think that's how it's going to work. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am in this case.
Well, you know, I think you're right. Obviously, the collectives are going to be a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And they're already there, really.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I look at that and even mathematically, even if they just say, okay, we'll do this for the next 6 years, and instead of they still got to pay that. So if they're paying this, if they decide to settle for $300 million, it's not a one-time payment. I'm going to guess it's going to be paid out over time.
Yeah.
So unless the whole ACC implodes, you know, then they can get out scot-free. But let's say it lasts and they got to pay back, you know, this $300 million throughout time. That's that on top of the trying to stay competitive. Even if they join an SEC or Big Ten, they still got a big chunk. They got like $40 million there. They got to account for $45 million because that's even however, I don't know how long they would settle for. We don't know any of that information yet, but I'm just going to say like 10 years or whatever it is, just for mathematical reasons. They're going to be in the hole $45 million a year before they even get their first, you know, and they start getting their paychecks from these leagues, but they're really not really netting more than what they're getting now. So I don't know if it's something they've been thinking about. So that's just something that crossed my mind. But, you know, of course, they already have a pretty large, you know, collective.
Yeah.
So, but but I don't think they'll put the money. I don't think they're going to take any kind of private, like whatever they're trying to do to pay off this settlement, whether it's private equity or through donors or whatever. I think it's going to ultimately be just to get out of the conference. They're not going to just put it aside for, you know, players, you know, and payouts and revenue sharing, that sort of thing. I think it's just they want out, and that's obviously there. Yep. So anyway,
All right,
just
man.
something I wanted to touch base on, and we look forward to the season. As a UCF fan, it was a fun first year. I just want to say to everybody that's joining the Big 12, all the fans coming from the Pac-12, this conference is amazing. It's a lot of fun. The fans that you've already known are very engaging, but it is a fun conference. The fans are engaged in football and basketball and all around. So I just anybody wondering what's going to be like as a first comer last year, as they talk a lot, but they also love you a lot, and it's an amazing conference. Yeah. So. Just enjoy the ride and enjoy the full stadiums and arenas this year, because those fans care. They really do.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Eric, appreciate it. Call again, sir.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend.
You got it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, can you hold on for one moment, please?
Sure.
I appreciate it. Just got to get caught up here. Larry Andrick, thank you so much for your generosity. Gifted membership. Larry Andrick, Mr. Mountaineer, please. I thank you so very much. You are hereby granted Cloak and Dagger once again. Whoops. I got the wrong music on. I've got the wrong music on. I don't know what I'm doing today, to be honest with you. Don't know what I'm doing today. There's been a lot of mass confusion. Thank you, Larry. You are hereby knighted Cloak and Dagger. Thank you so very much, Larry. Appreciate it. And who did you gift the membership to? P.S. You are hereby knighted Cloak and Dagger. Congratulations. When you get a chance, P.S., please say thank you to Larry for his incredible generosity. Larry and P.S., make sure you check out our early peak Cloak and Dagger membership only episodes. We're going to be dropping one within the next 24 to 28 hours. I'm pretty sure on that. Thank you guys. Derek Marie, does the Big Ten Powerhouse Conference want 6 schools? No, not in this next realignment wave. I think the chances of that is 0.0002%. I really believe so. There's too much change. There is too much change going on. There's too much unknown. That is one of the reasons why we may have to make the decision to tear down our current odds at any given Saturday sportsbook. We will get to that. Hold on. The moderator is in the studio. What do you need, hon? I'm hot. I thought the air was on. Huh? Put the air on with the fan. Okay. I apologize for that. The studio's burning hot, and the little general is going to save me. Immaculate, I do apologize. Thank you for the patience. The floor is yours.
Hey, good to talk to you. Hope you get the air conditioning worked out there.
It is working. This is what happens. I probably shouldn't say this, but I take care of my 91-year-old mother, and sometimes I tell her what is going on, and maybe sometimes she forgets, and then she cranks up that heat because, well, she is my 91-year-old mother. And
why not, right?
Yeah, and she's trying to burn us all out of the house. As we take care of her. I think she probably got up and changed that thermostat. My wife just got home. She's going to take care of her while I'm doing the show. But anyways, Immaculate, the floor is yours.
Whew, lots to take in here. I mean,
yeah.
No more realignment for the year? say it isn't so, Greg. Everything's been happening so quickly.
What? No, I didn't say no more realignment for the year.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think
It's a very short window if there is for the year.
I think no. I think if the Big Ten and the SEC could have their wish, they'd be hitting the pause button right now.
Oh, sure.
So that
Big
is
Ten didn't want Washington and Oregon either, though. Like at the time, so.
Yeah.
At the time,
different.
I'm not saying they didn't want them. Just it was a little too quick.
Yeah, that's complicated too. They wanted them, and they wanted Washington and Oregon before they went to the Southeast. That whole thing was illegal stuff. This is okay. You know what? I've said this before, and I'm going to say this as clear as I possibly can say it.
All right.
Ted Evans, USC and Oregon are. I'm not going to go down that road. USC had no voice in what UCLA had no voice in what the Big Ten was going to do for 17 and 18. And that's another thing. You know, USC and UCLA, Washington and Oregon are not even members yet. There is too much instability for the Big Ten and the SEC to really. They want things just to settle down for a moment. This is what we've been told today strongly. This is just, they're not ready. They're not ready to act on anything if something becomes available to them. They'd rather have it not become available to them right now. It's just too much going on. But I wanted to say this, Immaculate. Then you got the floor as long as you want it. I'm going to tell you guys this. I'm looking at you right in the camera. There is no standing offers. There's nothing written down anywhere. There's no applications. There's no offers. There's nothing. None of that has happened. There's no guarantees. Nothing has been done. No first party talks. This is not a Washington, Oregon situation. This is not Colorado meeting with the Big 12 in Chicago on May 7th situation. This is not Washington meeting with the Big Ten and Oregon meeting the Big Ten in Washington, D.C., in New York City. None of that has happened. There was something that happened in Chicago in the restaurant called O'Brien, but that wasn't have to do with any conferences. There is interested third-party talks, but there is nothing serious first-party talks. There's no offers. The Fox Sports has not given the approval on anything. There's no way, no how, none of that has been done. None, zilch, nada. We're not at that point yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're not at that point. We're not even close yet. Okay, Immaculate, the floor is yours.
Well, I'll try to be as brief as possible. I was going to touch upon the private equity a little bit, and I had a little comment to make about the congressional stuff going on. But because of what you said, I kind of have a desire. I kind of want a Greg tells me I'm on something moment. Can I have that right now?
What was that? What moment?
Greg says I'm on something moment.
Okay, shoot, go for it.
You ready?
Yeah.
You just said they don't want to expand at all. I'm what they want. They still might. And they wouldn't want to go past 2. But I've seen some other scenarios out here, and I know you had a super chat about the 16 thing. I do think that there's one possible lineup and a combination of schools that might get them to budge on this. And I'm kind of curious what you think about it. Although I think you're going to tell me I'm on something. And I'm saying the first move is either Florida State with Clemson or Miami, and then adding to the value of that is if Notre Dame sees out of Congress and out of the NLRB that there's a situation that's going to cause the ACC to not be viable going forward and they need a place to go. Those two schools, Notre Dame, Stanford, Duke, and California. Is the combination of Notre Dame, Florida State, and Clemson or Miami, plus a little bit added by Stanford and Duke, is that enough? Is that enough to where they say, damn it, it includes Notre Dame, it includes Florida State, Stanford comes in fully as a full member, joins the VTAA, Duke does the same, California does the same. Does it make the presidents happy? Does it make Fox, CBS, NBC happy? It's kind of a crazy theory, but, and I know that some people are going to look at this and say, well, what about this school? They're not going to want it. It's a combo package because it's Notre Dame and Stanford coming together, and I don't think Stanford is leaving Cal behind. So in order to make it all happen, I think they come as a group, not just as individuals. What do you think?
Well, you either on something or you're on to something.
Got my moment. All right, we're good.
And I think maybe you're on something.
It is Friday night. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. Is that it, sir?
Or the private equity.
Yeah.
Have you heard, is this true that can we say, I've heard that there's 3 schools that said they really weren't onto it.
I think there's more.
You think there's more?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking.
I don't really have a number.
Yeah. Because I can't remember where we saw it said 3. Because they got 3 private universities in that conference. And I don't know enough about this to know the difference between a public university kind of getting caught up in this and a private university getting caught up in this. But
who are the private universities? There's
BYU, Baylor, and TCU.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I don't know enough about it. Hopefully maybe some people will and they can call in and kind of set that straight. But it just seems to me like they're going to have less backing should things go south. Like public schools, they got backing, they got support, they got larger numbers of people. Whereas if things go south, I think that's more damaging to a smaller private school. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be right. Because
that's what I was thinking. It might be BYU and TCU and Baylor that, plus there's also some.
There's at least 2 of those schools that I know of that are on that list. So let's put it that way.
I'm guessing. You probably don't even want me to guess, but I'm thinking BYU and Baylor because of certain beliefs and whatnot that I don't think that they'd want to be a part of that. So that was my thought. I know a lot of people would probably say Kansas, but I mean, if Arizona State's saying they're cool with it, and they've been very reticent towards the whole Big 12 experience, I kind of think that most of the publics are probably at least open to it. So
yeah,
we'll see about that. Real interesting about the article you showed. So Booker and Cruz as a combination.
Yeah, they've been talking for a while. We've had other articles about those 2 guys working together, and the guy from Kansas and Blumenthal. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's out of Connecticut, so that means he's basically speaking for ESPN. That is very interesting because if this thing gets past the House, I think that the folks in the Senate are going to have a hard time being the ones standing in the way because I know there's a lot of talk out there about, people feel very strongly about it, and maybe or maybe they don't really actually know fully what they're talking about. But people got a lot of feelings on it, and they're letting it be known. But the fallout from this, if they don't pass something, could be quite detrimental to some of these schools. Would you say that that's possible? These lawsuits could pile up. They could just pile up.
Yes. I would agree.
They're already starting. So,
yeah.
I mean, it just seems like they have to do something. There's going to be a hefty debate on making some changes on it, but I think that they are going to get it passed. And we saw in that committee meeting, I think the NLRB was talked about 3 different times. Like, I don't even know why it would be, unless it's like a signal saying they need to get their thing figured out too. And I think that's what's holding it all up. Like what you're saying, like with everyone's just saying hold up. I mean, that's, as I was saying to kind of a group of people I talk with, that's like the base of the pyramid. You can't, the capstone is the prettiest, the top part, what everyone sees, but it's also the smallest. Yeah. And it's dependent upon everything else below. At the bottom of the pyramid is not where you generally look, but everything is built upon that. And it's the biggest part. And it takes the most work and the most effort. Yeah. And that's what's going on right now. So if this gets figured out, you might find that those people that what they're telling you is saying everyone's holding up, they might say it's full throttle. But there's no way of knowing how long this is going to take. This is serious work. Like this is as serious as it gets when you're in D.C. trying to get this passed in a moment of very heavy political unrest, shall we say. Tough. So we'll see how that goes. But that's interesting that those two together, because that could get it done. But interesting. I don't know. That's pretty much it. I tend to think that this private equity capital thing, I would really need to see the details to see if this is a good deal. Now, if they're having to do payouts instead of just making some of the new things, like there's going to be a lot of advertising and sales and possibilities on stadiums. I think they should maybe just focus on selling that. If they got to do payouts, that could get vicious. I think that they should, if they do it, they should just take that money, use it to help schools get out of the ACC, because that's just going to directly add value to the conference, which then basically you're making the money for those schools. If they are taking a portion out, you might as well get in some new schools that have that add-on already bonus from ESPN, because you're getting more money in directly, and so take your money out of that, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I don't think that they should distribute this to the schools at all. It's just going to disappear. And then what? Use the money, buy in, but kind of like how ESPN did with Texas and Oklahoma, where they paid for them a large direct payment to get over to the SEC. That's what they should do with this, if they do it. So if there's like an NC State and their whole issue in North Carolina or Louisville or whatever it is, that's just my 2 cents as far as what they should do with that money. But that's all I got for you today, Greg. Awesome stuff, and hopefully it gets worked out.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Great call. Immaculate, Mr. Hot Guy. Great call. Bill G, thank you so very much. 5 gifted memberships. Holy smokes. Bill G, once again, you are hereby knighted, cloak and dagger. Thank you, Bill G, for your incredible generosity. Thank you so very much once again, helping us keep the lights on. MP, the serial killer, Kill Ball, Marcella, and J Go Blue. You have been gifted a membership by Bill G, so when you get a chance, please say thank you to him and his generosity. And MP, serial killer, Kill Ball, Marcella, and J Go Blue, you all are hereby knighted, cloak and dagger. Go check out our early peak episodes, membership only episodes. We're going to be dropping one tomorrow morning or late tonight. Buckle up. Thank you, Bill G. Thank you so very much.
Call from
Steve-O.
Steve-O. Steve-O is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hello, Greg. Hey, you're talking about that August 15th date for Florida State. If they don't announce before then, why would they do anything before the February 1st date for ESPN to decide on the ACC gore?
Why would Florida State do something, or why would the ACC do something, or both?
Well, I guess both. I mean, to me, if
Yeah.
you're Florida State, just wait till February 1st.
Maybe you may have a good point there. You know, again though, what if
I mean, it doesn't help them. I mean, January 2nd, what good does that help them? I mean, they might as well wait till February 1st, I think.
You bring up a good point, Steve. I in the back of my mind, and I could be wrong, but I keep thinking there's a spreadsheet, okay? I keep thinking there's a spreadsheet, and on that spreadsheet, the ACC has it all figured out on what they could accept, what they can't accept. And then on the other side, it's Florida State going, this is the number that we're willing to do for all the reasons, the value that we think being an SEC member, being a Big Ten member, forget about just the media rights. Maybe we have to come in as a discount, but as a member of those conferences, this is what we're willing to do. This is what we're willing to do. And if the ACC at any point says to FSU, we're willing to settle at this number, and it's a number that Florida State's willing to do, I think Florida State's going to jump on it regardless of whatever could happen in February. I think once Florida State, once they see it and it fits, I think they're jumping.
Well, wouldn't that number still be good on February 2nd?
Well, maybe that number won't be there anymore. That's the problem. What if ESPN comes in on a white horse and says, we've got your back, ACC, regardless, and maybe we're going to extend this contract regardless, or whatever,
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, well, it may or may not.
The only way I see that happening is, as I've talked before, TNT sub-license a big percentage of the ACC games.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already getting into the Big East basketball. You was talking about that a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're working on their plan with a smaller or no NBA package.
Yes, you're right. Small or no NBA package for TNT.
Another thing that I'm sort of wondering about, I hear you talk about it this way, and I hear Big 12 Mafia, and then Immaculate just did it. Everybody's saying Notre Dame's going to be wait for everything to play out before they decide. I would sure think Notre Dame would want to be proactive, especially after that, February 1st date. If the gore is no longer an account, Notre Dame's free to go where they want. Yeah, because don't they have the agreement that if they join a conference, it has to be the ACC?
No.
But then after,
no,
that's not true.
No, it's no. And go look at Heather Dinich has done some reporting on this. It's the Notre Dame can leave. They can have their football team join another conference other than the ACC, but they have to take out all their teams from the ACC. She
So
has
basically, they could go when they want.
basically, yes. But I mean, they have to pay. Now Notre Dame has their own grant of rights entangled with the ACC network, and they have their own exit fee. They're part of that exit fee. In fact, in the Florida State and Clemson's pleadings, they're saying that Notre Dame's exit fee is the same as ours, which shouldn't be the case, but it is. With their argument, so Florida State Clemson's argument it is the exit fee is not really connected to the media agreement because Notre Dame doesn't have the same media agreement that we do with the ACC, but yet Notre Dame's exit fee is the same as us. That's been part of the pleadings. So Notre Dame would have its own separate settlement than Florida State and Clemson.
So if ESPN turns down the Gore or the contract, however you want to put it, February 2nd, Notre Dame could be a free agent.
They could start in 2027.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep, yeah.
But I just think Notre Dame is going to be more aggressive than most people think. Most people, it seems to me, most people think Notre Dame's just going to sit back in their easy chair, see what happens, and then make a decision. Well, I think they're going to be more proactive. But, time will tell. Cool. All right, I'll let you go, Greg. Thank you.
You got it. Appreciate it, buddy. Great call. Thank you. We've got some more news coming in here. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Great call. I have taken the phone off the hook. I got to get to some news here. Hold on. Helmer Henderson, is Florida State supposed to ask the judge to slow things up? Not so fast, Judge. No. From Florida State's perspective, it's foot on the gas pedal. Same with Clemson. Miami trying to get out of their quagmire. Possibly with the new interim president. I'm talking from the Big Ten and the SEC perspective. They might want things to slow up just a little bit. We'll get into that more next week. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to get you some information here. Need everybody just to hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to read your report that just came through. The Athletic, Chris Vanini. The Big 12 isn't the only football bowl subdivision conference considering selling its name rights to a sponsor. At least 3 Group of 5 conferences have held discussions on the topic as well, including Conference USA, the American, and the Mountain West. Multiple people involved in discussions told The Athletic. Conference USA has discussed the idea for the past few years. A deal isn't imminent. New AAC Commissioner Tim Prinetti, he's brought up the idea of a conference name and rights during his interview for the conference top job in a remains appointed discussion. Nothing should be off the table, Prinetti said. I'm interested in, Conference USA, the Mountain West. Not so much about all these G5s probably are going to be doing some sort of deal and changing the name of the conference to bring in some money. But when it comes to private equity, private capital, what the Big 12 is thinking about doing, if you're going to do something like that, if your conference decides to do something like that, that private equity company or private capital, whatever you want to call it, they're going to want to know that those schools are going to be sticking around. That grant of rights, whatever you want to call that, is going to be hammered out. And there's going to be a lawfully penalty, a lawfully payout to get out of that grant of rights. So when we're talking about G5 conferences, and Pernetti has talked about private equity, the new commissioner of the AAC. If those AAC schools do a private equity deal, like the Big 12's thinking of doing, those AAC schools are going to have to sign on for long term. Tulane is going to be an AAC member for many, 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 many years if they sign on to the deal. And then what about the Mountain West schools? What if the Mountain West start? They probably have. They probably have had discussions over doing a deal with private equity. But then again, those Mountain West schools are going to be, they're not going to be able to be a part of the Frankenstein conference that Oregon State and Washington State are trying to create. So there's cloak and dagger stuff going on in G5 as we have discussed. It's very the G5 is, there's going to be a lot of disruption going on in the G5 in the next year, in the next couple years. Anyways, I'm going to open up the phone lines once again if anybody wants to call in. If you're new to the channel, or if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the subscribe button and become a member of our Early P Cloak and Dagger. Go to the link provided in the description box. Hit the link, hit the join button. If you've liked our content today, please smash the like button. We appreciate it. Monday, we're going to be doing our Big 12. Our Big 12 prediction order of finish. Also, I believe on Tuesday, June 18th, we were asked a question in the chat. We believe we're going to be bringing you a live stream from Leon County. We're going to attempt, we've done it successfully the last couple of times. We'll talk about it this weekend. We'll talk about it on Monday. We'll talk about it. Get everybody set up.
Call from
John.
John, thanks for calling. The floor is yours.
Hi, Greg. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing real good, sir. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I wanted to speak to you about the private equity.
Yes, sir.
I'm against it. I've watched the European NFL before.
Yeah.
And the uniforms have sponsors, advertisement on there.
Yeah.
The football field looks like a billboard.
Yeah.
And it just cheapens the game.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that if the Big 12 or any of these other conferences, take the money, it's almost like bait they're throwing out there to them. Once you get entangled with it, it's going to be hard to get untangled. I mean, these people aren't giving this money away for free.
Yeah.
And so I just want, personally, if I was Oklahoma State Cowboys, I wouldn't want to see Suzuki across my uniform.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You
Yeah.
know. But I wanted to ask you if you could remind me, when will SMU, Stanford, and Cal join the ACC?
I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe SMU joins on July 1st. I believe California and Stanford join on August 1st or August 2nd.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was listening to your last caller, and he made a good point to me about, why would it benefit FSU to go ahead and announce. I just got a feeling that ESPN is going to use the exit fee or the renewal fee for the conference as a bargaining chip, whether it's for FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, whoever they're going to try and get, to maybe get the ACC to waive the exit fee for them if they agree to go to 2036, or maybe even extend the conference to 2039. If the rest of the teams would vote on it, and maybe leave a clause in there, if the Big 12 or Big 10 or whoever else wanted to take teams, that the penalty would still apply. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to run that by you and see what you think, and enjoy your show.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the call. Great comment. I don't know what I here's the problem. It's a great question, great comment, great. I'm in the minority on this. And so I'm looking at it different than most people. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to take a big L on it. I don't think ESPN is going to decline the contract. Now, maybe Jim Phillips and maybe they figure out some sort of, maybe it's a new contract and somehow the ACC schools get some benefit out of this new contract. Maybe they rewrite some. I don't know. Or maybe they put some clauses in there. Maybe they add on a conference game and they get paid a little bit more. Whatever it is, I have no idea. But I don't think ESPN's going to outright say we've declined ACC distribution for 2027 and beyond. Go ahead.
Okay, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to do that either. But
yeah,
a lot of people have been saying we're playing checkers and we're playing chess. I don't believe that at all. I think we're playing poker.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And we're in bluff mode here.
Yeah.
All ESPN's got to do is say, look, we're not going to renew this thing, and just the words themselves carry weight.
Yeah.
And these teams like Boston College and Syracuse, I mean, they're watching this stuff closely.
Yes, sir.
If they're offered the opportunity to go to 2036 or 2039, and ESPN's wanting to do it anyway, they can restructure that deal however they want to do it. Plus, I also thought that maybe they could say, well, look, we'll go ahead and schedule some more SEC games with the ACC. That will give you a bump in revenue just by ticket sales and people watching the games. There's different ways they can make money, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Great call, sir. Appreciate it. Call again.
All right, you have a good day.
You call again, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm in the minority on a lot of these big issues, and I know I am. I'm swimming up against the stream. All I can tell you is, I'm trying to give you all the peek around the corner, and I just don't think ESPN's going to decline. I don't think Florida State's going to file that notice of withdrawal. I know Florida State wants to get out. I know, but they're pleading a certain case in the court. And a lot of those pleadings have to do with Florida State saying, we haven't withdrawn. We have not withdrawn. So therefore, these arguments and, I don't think it's going to, unless there's a settlement, obviously, or if there's a victory in the court, obviously. Not this time around. But anyways, and then Helmer Hennessy can watch World Cup soccer games with little advertising, where here in the U.S. we watch commercials with some football sprinkled in. That is Helmer Hennison's next super chat. Appreciate it, Mr. Hennison, for your incredible generosity throughout the show and what you've done for this channel. Thank you so much. World Cup soccer, any soccer. Basically, you get 45 minutes and some extra time of no commercials. So they replace the commercials with a lot of advertisement on the field, on the patches, the jerseys. Just a different way of it. The caller, I think, was a little bit of an older gentleman like myself, and it's very difficult for us to see all these advertisements on the jerseys, on the football field. It's going to be a little different, and I think a lot of us are not going to like it. But unlike you young folks in the chat room, you're going to be able to handle it just fine. Just fine. Nope. If we get extra cheese, it's just got to be cheese. No meat involved. No meat involved with the cheese. Thanks, Jamie. Just going to check real quick here. Helmer Henderson, will Wisconsin take Minnesota to the woodshed this year? No, they're not. No, they are not. No, they are not. I don't think you guys are picking up what I'm laying down. Last year, at this time last year, in June, in July, in August, I was predicting Minnesota to do about 2 games worse than the Vegas numbers. And Greg the Heater nailed it. I believe Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to take a couple steps back. And they did. This year, I think Vegas has got it all wrong. And I think the Gophers are going to do much better than what the Vegas numbers show. You can call me a homer. The problem with that is last year I said, no, they're wrong. Way too optimistic. And the Gopher fans got on me. This year, Minnesota's all grown up. They've got a quarterback. This year, they've replaced the Greek rifle with a genius, with an absolute Einstein as their quarterback. So buckle up, brace for impact. Minnesota is taking back the axe. They're keeping the pig. So everybody watch out. The Golden Gophers are back. Steve-O, did you see the SEC projected TV schedule this week? It's loaded. Yes, we went through some of that. Added 2 good schools, and ESPN and ABC doesn't need the ACC. Still have AAC and Sunbelt. WBD. The football schedule for August 31st on ABC is the following. Now I can't remember what it is. What is it? It's Notre Dame, Texas A&M is Saturday night. I can't remember what it is, but it's a spectacular triple header. That I do remember. Florida. No, it's Miami, Florida. I don't know. I can't remember what the middle game is. Help me out in the chat. Help me out in the chat. It's Miami, Florida at noon. I can't remember what that middle game is. And then it's Notre Dame at Texas A&M at 9. Georgia Clemson is at noon. Legal Gators. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Warner Brothers Discovery. Yep, WBD. Clemson, Georgia. Clemson, Georgia. Clemson, Georgia. Yeah, the schedule is stacked. Anyways, I think we're going to call it. We've been on the air for almost 2.5 hours. I want to thank everybody who's come on in. I appreciate it. Appreciate the incredible generosity been given to the show today. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so much once again to Jimmy, Marcus Williams, Vox Quindaro. Thank you so very much, Vox. Ted Evans, Mr. Husky, RFR Mac, Helmer Henderson, Xmas Tots, Ryan Martin, Kerry Gold Nose, Henderson again, Ryan Martin again, Ryan Willie. Thank you so much, Anthony Carlson, Mr. Spartan, for an incredible gift membership of 20. Ryan Willie, Larry Andra, Derek Marie, Bill G, Helmer Henderson, 3 more times. Thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you so much for your kindness. And Steve-O, thank you so much. The incredible chats in the comments section in the chat room and the great phone calls. We got a couple new phone callers today. Did a brilliant job. There's no... Now, in the college football world, in the college football YouTube world, there are a lot better hosts than the fat guy from Minnesota, but there are no better callers when it comes to college football. When it comes to a national college football show, there's no better callers than the PATC community. I appreciate your generosity, your great phone calls, your great chat, and your great passion for the game that we all love. The history, the pageantry, the drama, the heartbreak that college football gives us. What a community. Thank you so very much. Keep your head on a swivel. We're going to be unloading, releasing a membership-only episode this weekend. So if you haven't become a member yet, please do so. Visit the channel or go to the box below this video and hit the link, hit the join button, become a member. This week, I believe we have a big old courthouse date, PATC community, on Tuesday. If we get a live stream out of Leon County, everybody join us this Tuesday. And then Monday, we're going to be doing our Big 12 release, order of finish prediction, and we're going to have to go and talk about on any given Saturday sportsbook. We may have a decision to make. So buckle up, brace for impact. There's a lot of confusion out there. There is some hesitancy out there. Everybody, not everybody. The Big Ten and the SEC are reaching for the pause button. Slow down. Slow down. You move too fast. You got to make the moment last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. We'll see you again soon. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.